Welcome back, Ramley, to another episode of the First and Tuna podcast. I'm your host, Tuna, and we've finally got Rams football back in SoFi. Today, we're going to go over the 6 key points that we saw for the Rams' 31-21 victory over the Dallas Jerry Joneses. Some surprise stars that stood out. Some guys we're rooting for to make this 53-man roster come regular season. And, everything right after this sound of the game.
Shotgun snap, Stetson Bennett. Cowboys coming after him. He heaves down the left sideline and caught! Xavier Smith reels it in.
That sound of the game that we picked out was the Stetson Bennett to Xavier Smith 4th down throw and reception early in that first quarter in that first drive. Shout out to JB Long for the fantastic call as always. But yeah, big game for Xavier Smith. He did a lot of good things. Before we jump into some more keys for the game, guys, make sure subscribing. All the socials are here at the bottom of the screen, especially that Substack. That's where we got some of our juiciest content with the articles pumped out every single week for you. Thank you for everybody that has subscribed. We are getting closer to 500, and the fact that 500 of you like hearing my voice, little troublesome. Get some therapy, but thank you for being here. And before we get started, a quick injury report. This was as of Sunday, so Monday morning, if you're watching this, probably may have changed. I know Konate Mumfield was cleared. He had a little bit of an ankle issue in the game. He's fine. Ronnie Rivers, I have not seen a report on that. I know he left the game with a rib injury. We're still waiting on seeing how long he'll be out with that. Extremely quick publishing post-edit update. I just saw Matthew Stafford was supposed to practice Monday morning today. He did not. As of this morning, he was seen in street clothes per reports. And I guess we're going to have to wait until McVay gives us another McVayism on his status, making a lot of fans very nervous ahead of the season. Who I really want to talk about, and it was lost upon me during the game, usually offensive line, kind of goes under the radar until you really go back and watch the film. He started popping out at me, and I was really happy to see that everyone beat me to it on Twitter. And of course, if you're on social media, you know we're talking about center undrafted rookie Willie Lampkin out of North Carolina. Listen to this guy's bio. So he is 5'11", 290. I am the same height as that man. He went undrafted not because of skill, because of size. Because we all know, regardless of talent, NFL scouts and coaches, they still have a tendency to overlook you depending on size. He's yet another guy that was a transfer portal guy that the Rams seem to love. He started at Coastal Carolina, bumped up to North Carolina after 2022. And he wasn't just okay. He was named to the first team All-ACC, that's all-conference. He was awarded the Jacobs Blocking Trophy, given to the most outstanding blocker in the ACC. He also played a 5th year, all that nonsense with COVID. So he's a very experienced guy. His only flaw is that he's 5'11". That's short on the interior of the offensive line. So what we're actually going to see here is a little bit from Sir Brandon Thorne. It's at Brandon Thorne NFL on Twitter. He picked apart some of the best plays from Mr. Lampkin that you're going to see here on the screen. Here he is at center. Step, 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 step. Work up to that linebacker. Just good sound technique. He's mean. He's a mean dude. Here he is at center. I love this play just because it shows how athletic he is. All right, so he's supposed to help the right guard with a double team, right? He moves over to the right way too much. He's out of the play now. So instead of, he probably should have worked up to this guy, but he does the spin move and meets him anyways. That's dangerous. I'm not a fan of that play, but I mean he made it work. Here's a good one. This is incredibly impressive. So based on this alignment, Lampkin is going to work across this tackle's face here and get to his outside shoulder. That's a good combo with the right guard to be able to engage and not just stay here and engage, but then work his hips back over, because this is the run lane that they want. Behind his back, 66 and 61, this is where they want to go. It doesn't necessarily work out that way because I think Covey kind of gets in the way here. Yeah, I really feel like Covey messed that play up. But the lane they want is right off the right guard's butt right here. Follow 66 is what they wanted. Doesn't work out that way. It is there, though. That was a great seal by Lampkin. Very impressive. Here's another good one. Him just one-on-one. This is just a solid rep. First of all, good communication between the guard and center. Rather than him taking him and at center sitting doing nothing. Hey, let me go help the tackle just in case there's another blitzer. Center, can you pick this guy up one-on-one and give no room so that way Bennett can throw a touchdown strike? Easy. Cody Schrader touchdown. We will talk about Cody Schrader a little bit. Lampkin finished the day with 4 pancake blocks. Shout out to him. He definitely made some waves. A lot of people are rooting for him to make this 53-man roster that is coming very soon here in the next week or two for the Rams. Now, I get it. It's preseason. A lot of people are very temperamental when it comes to preseason performances. You know, a la Lance McCutcheon. We thought he'd be the next superstar. But there is some validity to take when guys do well in the preseason. More so for the whole unit as a whole. And that's something I briefly want to touch on before we get into our 6 keys is what can you take from preseason? Like as a journalist for me, I look at it at a unit-by-unit basis. So rather than just focus on Willie Lampkin, how about the whole offensive unit, the offensive line? They looked good. They looked in sync. The communication looked really, really good. A lot of those plays where Willie pancaked somebody or was in the right spot, that's not just him, let me go figure this out on my own. The guards have to know exactly what he's doing so that way they can do their job as well too. The Rams had over 100 yards by the start of the fourth quarter for different units, different guys swapping in and out. That's consistency that popped up in the stat sheet. So the offensive line operationally looks good. Communication looks strong. That means that they're a well-coached unit and that the starters might look just as good come regular season. Another thing I like to look at is, do guys look lost? That's my nice way of saying, hey, you're a little bit in over your head right now. Maybe you're not ready. Some guys, they need to be only practice squad for a year or two. Some guys need to go maybe play in the UFL, the Canadian League. It was really hard for me to pick out a Rams player that looked lost comparatively to the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry, no shot at them, but they looked like a team that was under a rookie head coach. A lot of guys looked lost. There was some miscommunication in all facets of the game for them. And then last but not least, does a player exhibit skills that other guys simply do not have? Like when you look at Stetson Bennett, rather than picking apart every single pass, as a collective performance, does he look the part? Does he pass the eye test? Stetson Bennett looked like an NFL competent quarterback for at least a QB2. You mean to tell me you can five more backup quarterbacks that for a guarantee are going to perform better than he did against the Cowboys? I'd argue that you're not. That's what I take from preseason. I don't really care about stats. Stats are kind of a nice cherry on top, but it is a good precursor for, hey, what does that unit look like with the starters? But to kind of wrap up about Willie Lampkin, kind of focusing back on the offensive line, that was my first key point from the day. Blake Corum had a really strong day. The Rams did have over 100 yards at the start of the fourth quarter, and then it was capped off by Cody Schrader in the fourth quarter. He had 2 to 3 consecutive really good runs that took them all the way down to the red zone. Ended up with he did get a touchdown himself, and then Stetson Bennett did get a second touchdown in that fourth quarter as well. Rushing lanes on that drive were like commuter lanes for Schrader. It wasn't just Willie Lampkin, but the interior, like all the runs between the tackles, they were moving bodies. They looked really strong. Overall, that whole unit, bravo, good day, great precursor for the starters at the regular season. And I do want to mention as well, Jarquez Hunter. He put on some solid tape as well. Sean McVay had really nice things to say about him after the game, talking about how strong of a runner he is. He turns 4-yard gains into 8-yard gains, and he was churning in post-contact yards all day long. Our second key point to victory for the Rams was that the defense was strong, especially right out the gates. They only allowed 1 yard. One yard in the first quarter. Multiple young defenders really shined. Josiah Stewart logged his first sack, and that one was really impressive. I'll pop it up here on the screen real quick. So Stewart's going to be here on the bottom of the defensive line, number 41. Let's watch him get his sack. Replay it back here in a second. Relentless. Takes Joe Milton down. That's a solo sack. Love to see it for the young rookie. But running it back a little bit. Power move to the speed. Kind of. I think it's more relentless. He gets held on this play, doesn't get called. I would say that's a hold. That should be one. It's egregious enough. But I think this sack is really, I don't think his move worked the first time because he was held, but he's relentless. And that is one thing that popped on his tape from Michigan is even if something doesn't work, even if he's initially blocked, he's relentless enough where he's just going to fight through and go get whatever the fuck he wants anyways. So that was really good to see. He's had a really strong training camp as well. Him in the rotation with Young and Verse should excite a lot of people. Key number 3 to the Rams win. All right, we got to talk about my boy. We got to talk about Xavier Smith. I posted something online that I said, hey, I think this is how the depth chart is going to end up being for the wide receivers, and that's Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell. After that, I had Jordan Whittington and then Xavier Smith and then Konate Mumfield. What Xavier Smith put on tape, I knew he'd progressed. From what I saw in training camp, he looked like a more complete receiver. He looked a lot more confident in his hands. His route tree had expanded where he was very fluid in his cuts. I did not expect him to be this potentially dominant against other guys in the preseason like this. So yeah, 4th down, like this is such a huge play. Like the fact that it is 4th down, 4th and 6, they go for it. The concept behind this, I know it's big balls to make this throw, but this is, give your guy a 50-50 chance on a deep ball. If it does get intercepted, it's like an arm punt. So there's like not a lot of risk here for the Rams, especially with this field. What Xavier Smith does well here, though, like this shows a lot of maturity in his routes. I don't really have it here, but if you watch him up top, he gets an outside release. He's on the outside here. Eventually, he's going to burn past him and then stack back on top. It is very subtle when receivers do this, but when they say stack on top of your guy, if you're running deep, you want him behind you, obviously. So you slowly start angling back inbounds to cut him off. Eventually, he'll just end up directly in front of the guy. That's stacking back on top of your wide receiver. Perfect ball. You can't throw it better than that. And here's a good look at the concentration of that. This is from the broadcast. Look how, dude, concentrate, toe tap. That's mature. That is extremely difficult to do. You mean tell me that this dude is not learning from Eric Yarber and Devontae Adams? Xavier's other good catch that shows a lot of mental maturity as a wide receiver. He's down here in the slot. He's going to run out and up. Bennett throws a perfect pass just before the safety. Here, let's run this back a little bit slower for you. So here he is down at the slot. He's going to run this out and up for the completion. Runs a little bit of an out. It's up. Being able to have hops like that and make a catch in traffic. Yeah, really good. All that for me to say, I really think he's pushing Jordan Whittington for that wide receiver 4 position. I think Jordan Whittington is going to start there at the start of the year. And they're going to really interchange, especially wide receiver 3. Like there's going to be games where Whittington plays a little bit more from the 3 than Tutu Atwell. I think it's based on down, based on matchup, based on situation. But then the same goes for Xavier Smith. We may see some packages specifically for him where Whittington's out. I think that he put on that strong of a performance, and I plan to see him get more snaps through the regular season. Our next point, the key to victory for the Rams, Stetson Bennett himself, I think he earned himself a contract. You can nitpick, like I said, he did have an interception. We'll talk about that in a second. There are some passes that, weren't perfect, but overall, great performance. It's hard to, even on his 50-50 ball, like he's throwing off platform, he's stepping up in the pocket. The ball still is 50 yards downfield, throwing off platform. Hell of an arm. It's a 50-50 ball, so an arm punt. Not ideal, but he gave his guy a chance still. Should he have gathered and try to get a little bit extra sauce on there? I think so. But it's still a 50-50 ball. If it was 2 yard, maybe even 1 yard further downfield, advantages for Konate Mumfield, who was the intended receiver. Just a hair underthrown, gets picked off. Other things that looked really good for him, I think really just he looked really in control. And he was confident in his arm. It never seemed like he was going for a throw where you can kind of tell a quarterback is hesitant or he's unsure of it. Everything was just full follow through. Everything was intentional. He had two touchdowns, one to Cody Schrader, one to Presley in the back of the end zone, and it looked easy. I know, again, it's preseason, but what you take from it is he looks like a competent quarterback too. Not better than our Jimmy Garoppolo right now for this point in time, but the guy can play in the league. I firmly believe that. On our next key on how the Rams won was the linebacker group. It wasn't just Chris Pupal, who put on a good performance, some good tape, showed some really good things. Sean Dolak also was getting praise online. Jimmy Youngblood 53, we shouted at him earlier. He did a really good breakdown of some things that Dolak did good. Here, we'll just read it word for word. Look how he gets skinny early, tucks in shoulder like a pass rusher so he can split the double team. Very instinctual. And then we'll just run the tape here for you. Sean Dolak is right here. He's talking about him getting skinny, kind of turning sideways to get through this double team. Running back is right here. So the fact that this... Look at what he's dealing with right now. He's about to get blocked here. He's getting double teamed. And he's looking at this still frame. He's about to make the tackle at the line of scrimmage. I love what I'm seeing. And then Pupal is right here in the right spot for a combo tackle. Like, you can't ask for anything better. For the fans that were clamoring, that were upset and asking for them to draft linebackers, there you go. This right here is what you were asking for. It doesn't matter where the guy was drafted at, what position, from what school. If he can play football, the Rams will find him and they will put him on the field. Overall, it was really good. There was another series where I don't have the clip for it, but Chris Pupal, there was a screen left, covers a lot of ground, runs from like hash to sideline, and gets to tackle, stops him for a few yards. The very next play, they run a screen right. He, kind of similar to what Dolak just did there, works his way through a few blockers, makes contact with the running back behind the line of scrimmage, holds him up enough for the rest of the defensive pursuit to get there, and it's a tackle for 1 yard. Really impressive overall from both those inside linebackers. And last but not least, our last key that we saw in the Rams victory was special teams. Josh McCarty, he was 1 for 1. His 37-yard field goal was right through the uprights, right down the middle. Whole operation was clean. That stuff matters. Chase Blackburn, there was an emphasis on cleaning up all of their operations because they have everyone returning. When you have all your specialists returning, it's a huge plus for the special teams. Ethan Evans, though, dog, we knew he had a boom of a leg. I swear he had a punt that went 90 yards. I swear to God. It looked like they were punting from the 15 or 10. And that thing went for a touchback. I swear to God, it was that far. His highlight that was taken back, unfortunately, from a penalty on the offense. He did have a punt that he had it bounce back. It bounced right inside the 5, stayed there. That's as much as you can ask from your punter. Unfortunately, it was called back. So then the subsequent punt was just a standard punt for a few yards return. But another thing I noticed was Cardi did drop a few balls in the landing zone. I know there's a few tweaks to the kickoff coverage or kickoff rules. He had a few kicks land in the landing zone. What that allows is for good coverage. That allows for time for your guys to get down there and actually make a tackle. Very clean operation. Overall, a very strong performance by the Rams. A game that was called by offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, and the defense was called by linebackers coach Greg Williams. McVay does this every year. Next week, I believe it's going to be, I think he said Shieldhouse and Shula are calling the game next week. I might have that reversed, flipped. I could be wrong. Could be Pleasant on the offense. I can't remember. But really strong. Looking forward to see what they put together in practice. Looking forward to hearing more news on Stafford. When we get that stuff, we'll give you updates on TikTok and all the other social medias here at the bottom. And happy week 1. The Rams are 1-0 in preseason. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you later in the week for another update. Bye.